this is Jeff White with Life and Living Now, and thank you for joining us. This past week during the Qigong class, I was kind of going through the details of your posture as you stand, and it becomes very important. So I wanted to share this on a separate video so you can access it and we'll send it out. But when we're standing, a lot of the Qigong that we're doing right now is this 5-element Qigong. And it is designed for internal organ health. And the organs are not just the organs themselves, but they kind of are representative or representation of the systems within the body itself. So we're working on the energetic systems. And we're having tremendous success. And many of you have reached out and told me how much you appreciated the Qigong class and the lessons and the just this very strong sense of calm, stress release, harmonizing, centered feeling that you have. So we want to continue to work with that. And for me, the most important principles in Qigong are mindfulness, breathing, intent. And it said that heart melts with mind, heart mind then works with energy, that energy then works with power if we're looking at expressing that into the world where the other side of our life is martial arts. But there's a stance and a posture as you're standing that allows you to experience and become more aware and harness your energy more efficiently. And if we start with those instructions from the ground up, it'll seem like a lot of details, but once you kind of get into the feel of it, you realize they really aren't. It starts with the toes. Now, I will tell you, I don't always do this, but when I'm standing in standing meditation, I often will. And that's just when you draw the toes up a little bit like you're gripping the floor, the pavement. It's not strong. Remember, with this particular Qigong, we are all about relaxation. We want a little bit of tone in the body. We don't want any tension, because tension is going to inhibit the flow of energy, and we want to open all those energetic flows and let them move within our body so we can harness. Now, I think it's also important, and this is, for me, this was very important. This is energy work, but guess what? Your entire being is energy. You are energy. All right, so we have different types or qualities of energy that in our organizing principle of our body that they vibrate at different frequencies so that we end up with bones and blood vessels and blood and muscles and tendons and ligaments. They all serve a different purpose, but it's all energy. As we know from elementary physics, that nothing's really solid. Everything is rather fluid and in flux, and there's great space, even though things between atoms and molecules, even though things look like they're quite solid and feel like they're quite solid. But as we stand, we pull up a little bit. So there's some tone but not tension. The knees are never locked. They're always just kind of, it's called straight but not straight. So you just kind of sit. Now, there are times I may sit down more into horse. I may widen my base and sit down more in the horse. So this is a little bit more for martial arts. For most of us, we kind of stand, I think, shoulder width. Our knees are slightly bent. You can kind of see. I can come deeper if I want. Nothing wrong with this. And some styles and schools teach the knees to be a little bit lower. Most of my teachers have said comfortable, so the knees are just slightly bent. Your tailbone is important. The tailbone is just kind of dropped. And you want to think about intentionally dropping that tailbone to the ground. I'm not pushing it forward. Another element, we have 6 harmonies, 3 internal harmonies and 3 external harmonies. The external harmonies, the very first one is shoulders and hips. So if that's the case, so there's a good way to check this. If I'm standing and my hips feel like they are ahead of my shoulders, I'm not in proper alignment. Drop that tailbone down. Have shoulders and hips in line. Same thing, if I'm sticking my butt out, my hips out, I I come down and now I'm like this, which I see a lot of people do, and it's mainly because there's still a lot of tension in the body. But this isn't doing anything. I want here. So drop the tailbone down, pull in a little bit with your toes if you wish. Knees are bent. Drop the tailbone down. The shoulders are relaxed and down. Always check for that. The shoulders love to rise up. At least mine do. And because I've carried computer bags and business files and satchels, on this right shoulder, and I was a delivery boy for papers, that this shoulder is almost always raised. And some of it's just because I would walk like this. Now, I used to have to go get massages once a month, and during my heavy running years, which is primarily why I did it, they always kept looking at my shoulder until they realized that I was always carrying these bags and it was causing tightness in my scapula as well. But shoulders need to be relaxed. Your chin is slightly tucked. And the benefit of this is it enables you to breathe. From the crown, you imagine you have a thread or a string that's tied from your crown to the sky and is pulling up. And you want to extend your neck while your chin drops. This is not a competition, so remember, there's no tension, but I'm just gently stretching that spine out. And so now I have intent going in two directions, dropping my spine down towards the earth and up towards the heavens. And as you become more comfortable and aware with this, you can create more space between the vertebrae. Then I'm handing, and your tongue goes on the roof of your mouth, just behind your teeth, as if you were going to say the word let. So if you say the word let and the L, and the roof, and your tongue's in the roof of your mouth just behind your teeth. That completes a cycle. So in the Qigong, we have the governing channel, kind of runs from perineum, runs up your back, over your head, splits down by the nose and the upper lip to the sides in most charts that I've seen. And then the conception vessel starts at perineum, runs straight up center line, becomes just at the lower lip, just about my chin. And so your tongue completes that whole cycle. As you're standing, say if we're standing in Zhangshuang, standing like a tree, my shoulders are down, my elbows are slightly flared, but it's just kind of a normal, natural drape to the elbows. They're not out here. I'm not standing like I'm holding a big pole. It's more natural. And my hands are kind of faced towards me a bit. And this is where I'll stand. Now, when we're doing four gates breathing for earth meditation, we're kind of standing like this, but the same principles can still apply. Now, as I've mentioned, what I prefer in your hand positions as you're going through any of our flows is that you open up the Lao Bone point in the center of the palm. And part of that is you have your thumb and your little finger extended so that you kind of have this converse shape to your palm. And then I use this just inhale, exhale. Even when I'm standing in Zhangshuang, I still have that shape to the palm instead of being flat. Some of that is a personal preference for me, but I also find that it engages those energy points. And I want to engage all the energy points in my body. So all these little things come together. So I can do this whether I'm standing in bear holds ball and back, earth meditation that we use, or Zhangshuang. For my Xingyi practice, and this is more for martial, we have the Song Ti, where I'm sitting more like this. Still a standing meditation, but I'm seated more on this back foot. This is kind of insubstantial. It's connected to the ground, but it's just there. There's not a lot of weight. And this hand, one hand circles down by the lower Tian, the other one has Tiger's mouth, aligned with my nose, and elbow, hip. You can stand like this, or in here. And the standing meditation, the longer that you do it, the more benefit will be derived from it. I would say on a personal practice, within our Qigong, we only do it for a minute, 2 minutes, in our Qigong flow, because we're working through the body. You can also use all of these as a standard separate practice. You start out with at least 5 minutes. You can build up to 5 minutes, but you can do 5 minutes, then build up to 15. Once you start to get to 10 to 15 minutes of standing, you start noticing there's some energetic changes in your body. Now, even after 5 minutes of standing here, and I used to do this in the gym, I would find a little corner where I didn't think anybody could see me, and I would just stand and judge. And what would happen was, all of a sudden, it's like my glutes, I didn't even realize they were tight. It was just gotta go and just like release. My quads would release. I've done the same thing standing here. It kind of depends on where you hold your stress. There's times I felt it along my scapula where all of a sudden I just felt this release because we're holding things up, but we're focused on relaxation when we breathe. And releasing and relaxing the mind, relaxing the body. With each breath, we're going deeper into relaxation. And the body, which has been holding muscles together, begins to get tired, gets the signal, and releases and lets that go. And now your body has more energy to work with because it's not fighting against itself. That's one illustration of what will happen. Now, often I get asked, and I also mentioned this within the class itself, is what do you do with your mind while you're standing in these standing meditations? And obviously, because mindfulness and breathing are two of the three primary important facets of this Qigong, intention being the third, then focus on your breath is a good way. If you've got nothing else to focus on your breath. What do you not want to think about? Your grocery list, what you did this morning, what do you have to do this afternoon? Am I doing this right? All right? Even that is your mind and your ego trying to assert dominance. And we don't want that. So we just breathe and we just focus. We relax the mind, we relax the body. So that's first. Focus on relaxation in the mind, in the body. The mind comes in with resistance. It goes, you're not doing this right, it tries to get competitive. And there's no competition in Qigong. The mind just kind of wants to race. We call it the monkey mind. And that's why we have repulsed the monkey at times too, where we're looking at clearing energy. In our meditation practice, we want to calm the mind. And in our Vipassana, it's like meditation, the same thing that we do. So with the standing meditation, the first is just to breathe, focus on your breath and relax. Now, you can also go into the microcosmic orbit, small heavenly circle orbit, you can do that. You can go into 4 and 5 gates breathing if you wish as well. You can work on the different modalities for different types of awareness, engagement. There are different things that you can do while you're standing. But the important thing is be here now, be present now. I still tend to do just be. Then I will work the microcosmic orbit, my two favorites. I love doing the 4 gates Qigong breathing. And also, I introduced a concept in this last week that I want you to pay attention to. It's also about breathing as if you're breathing through your whole body. And initially, we just focused on abdomen, belly breathing. And then we said, let's breathe for wave breathing, expand the ribs to the top of the chest. You're becoming more aware. And so as we begin to add to that, and then you start doing like the 4 gates breathing and 5 gates breathing if you add in the crown. But if you start thinking as if I'm breathing with every pore of your body, now your mind takes in your entire being. And that's part of what we're after. Because now your mind is registering all of it. And it's as if you're breathing through the pores of your skin. And when that happens, I literally can feel my body getting more energized. As I breathe in and breathe out, as if I'm breathing in and breathing out through every pore of the body. Obviously, we're still using lungs and diaphragm, but the mental imagery and what we're feeling is as if we were doing it for the whole body. Okay? Focusing on lower dantian and just feeling it. When you do that, and do it consistently, you will feel a lot more energy coursing through your system. The more that you can feel that energy, the more you're aware of it. Now you can begin to harness it as well, and you can send it to different parts of the body for healing. You can send it to others as energy. You work on your own well-being and healthfulness. So very powerful. So pay attention to little details, and when we stand in class, just make a note. You don't have to get all those details at once. Focus on one part, maybe focus on feet and knees. And then once you go, oh, I got that all the way through the process. Okay, make sure my tailbone is dropped and my chin's down, as well as my feet and knees. Oh, okay, I have this. All right, I need to extend the crown of my head towards the sky, tongue on the roof of the mouth. Oh, now I have this as well. Right? So all it begins to add. And in no time at all, what seemed like a lot of details will suddenly just become as if it were nothing, and then you're just standing. It'll only seem like a lot when you go to explain it to somebody else in class. So thank you. Enjoy.